Intelligence is not just about having a high IQ or being good at solving problems. True intelligence, according to Stoicism, lies in self-awareness, emotional control, and the ability to navigate life wisely. On the other hand, stupidity is not just a lack of intelligence. It's a pattern of behaviors that lead to self-destruction, suffering, and poor decision-making. The Stoics believed that wisdom was the highest virtue, and a person's ability to act rationally determined their success in life. Stupid people, however, repeatedly fall into the same destructive habits, never learning from their mistakes. They let emotions control them, refuse to grow, and live in a state of ignorance. In this video, we will break down 6 key signs of a stupid person according to Stoicism and how you can avoid these dangerous traps. One of the biggest signs of a foolish person is their inability to control emotions. The Stoics never taught that emotions themselves are bad. Instead, they warned against being ruled by emotions. A foolish person is like a ship without a captain, allowing every wave of anger, jealousy, or fear to throw them off course. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a great Stoic thinker, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But a foolish person does the opposite. They focus on controlling external events, situations, and people, while failing to control themselves. They lash out in anger, make impulsive decisions, and later regret their actions. They overreact to minor problems, making them bigger than they actually are. For example, imagine a man who gets fired from his job. Instead of calmly assessing his next move, he blames his boss, complains to everyone, and drowns himself in self-pity. He allows his emotions to take over, making the situation worse. A wise man, on the other hand, would take control of what he can, updating his skills, looking for new opportunities, and seeing the setback as a lesson. In today's world, you see this emotional weakness everywhere. People getting offended over minor issues, reacting with rage over small inconveniences, and letting their feelings dictate their lives. The Stoic solution? Learn to pause, breathe, and respond with reason instead of emotion. Emotional control is a key tenet of Stoicism. In practicing, it can lead to better decision-making, greater mental clarity, and overall peace of mind. A person who cannot control their emotions is at the mercy of every challenge that comes their way. The second sign of a foolish person is arrogance and overconfidence. A truly wise person is always learning, always questioning their beliefs, and always open to new perspectives. But a stupid person assumes they already know everything. They refuse to listen, they reject new information, and they dismiss anyone who challenges their views. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "While we teach, we learn. A fool, however, doesn't want to learn. They just want to prove they are right. They argue not to understand, but to dominate. They resist constructive criticism because their fragile ego cannot handle being wrong." This ignorance, disguised as confidence, is one of the most dangerous traits of a stupid person. This type of arrogance is visible everywhere, on social media, in political debates, and even in personal relationships. People are so attached to their opinions that they would rather defend a lie than admit they were mistaken. A wise person, in contrast, values truth over ego. They seek out knowledge, listen to different perspectives, and are willing to change their minds when presented with better evidence. That is the difference between wisdom and stupidity. One is built on growth, the other on stubbornness. A foolish person who constantly seeks to prove themselves right at the expense of others never evolves. They live in a bubble, unaware of the larger world around them. The Stoics understood that no one has all the answers, and the search for wisdom is a lifelong process. They valued humility and openness to new ideas. A wise person embraces the discomfort of learning something new because they understand that growth comes from facing uncertainty and questioning their own beliefs. In today's world, arrogance is one of the most common signs of a person trapped in their own ego. You see it in people who refuse to consider alternative viewpoints, who demonize others simply because they disagree, and who think their limited knowledge is enough. The Stoic approach is to listen, learn, and remain humble in the face of our vast ignorance. The third sign of stupidity is blaming others for personal failures. A foolish person always has an excuse. They blame society, their parents, their boss, their luck, anyone but themselves. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A fool refuses to accept this. They see themselves as victims, constantly complaining that life is unfair. Instead of learning from their mistakes, they repeat them over and over again. They avoid responsibility because it's easier to blame external forces than to look in the mirror. Imagine two men who lose their jobs. One blames the economy, the government, and his bad luck. He sits around, waiting for someone to fix his problems. The other man takes responsibility. He upgrades his skills, networks with people, and works harder to build a better future. The first man stays stuck. The second one grows. Taking responsibility is the foundation of intelligence. No matter what happens, a wise person asks, "What can I do to improve my situation?" Instead of focusing on problems, they focus on solutions. The foolish person's constant excuses prevent them from seeing the opportunities for growth that are right in front of them. By taking full responsibility for their lives, a wise person realizes that they are the architects of their own destiny. They accept their shortcomings, learn from their failures, and take proactive steps to create the life they want. This mindset is powerful because it transforms obstacles into opportunities for personal development. The fourth sign of a foolish person is seeking constant validation. A truly wise person does what is right, even if no one is watching. A foolish person, on the other hand, craves attention and approval. They care more about how they are perceived than who they actually are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." This is why social media has turned into a breeding ground for foolishness. People post fake versions of their lives to impress others, seeking likes, followers, and validation. They measure their self-worth based on how many people approve of them. This makes them weak and easy to manipulate. A truly intelligent person doesn't need external validation. They live by principles, not by the opinions of others. They do what is right, not what is popular. They are confident in themselves whether anyone is watching or not. In a world obsessed with social media and constant feedback, the pursuit of validation has become a form of self-destruction. A foolish person is caught in this cycle of needing approval from others, never feeling truly content with themselves. In contrast, a wise person builds their self-worth from within. They are guided by their own values, not the fleeting opinions of others. They do not rely on external praise to validate their existence because they are already secure in their own identity. The fifth sign of stupidity is repeating the same mistakes. One of the biggest differences between a wise person and a foolish one is how they respond to failure. A wise person learns from their mistakes. A fool ignores the lessons and keeps making the same bad choices. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, think of it as training." But a foolish person never learns. They stay in toxic relationships, keep bad habits, and refuse to change. They expect different results while doing the same things. For example, a man who repeatedly dates the same type of toxic partner, expecting a different outcome each time, is acting foolishly. Instead of reflecting on his mistakes, he blames others and continues the cycle. A wise person, in contrast, would recognize the pattern, learn from it, and make better choices. The ability to reflect, adapt, and grow separates the intelligent from the foolish. A foolish person believes that if they just try harder, things will eventually change, but without addressing the root cause, they will continue to stumble. A wise person understands that growth comes from introspection and a willingness to change their behavior. Repetition of the same mistake is a surefire sign of foolishness, while learning from mistakes is the hallmark of wisdom. The final sign of stupidity is wasting time on meaningless things. A foolish person is easily distracted by entertainment, gossip, and temporary pleasures, while ignoring what truly matters. The Stoics valued time as the most precious resource. Seneca warned, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. A foolish person wastes hours on distractions, but complains they don't have enough time for their goals. They prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term success. A wise person, on the other hand, invests their time in self-improvement, discipline, and meaningful relationships. In the end, intelligence is not about how much you know, it's about how well you live. A foolish person is ruled by emotions, arrogance, blame, validation-seeking, repeated mistakes, and wasted time. A wise person practices self-control, humility, responsibility, inner confidence, learning, and discipline. If you recognize any of these foolish traits in yourself, the good news is that you can change. By practicing Stoic principles, you can develop the mindset of a wise and resilient person. The path to wisdom is not about knowing everything. It's about constantly striving to be better than you were yesterday. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon for more videos on philosophy and self-improvement. And hey, share this